Hey, co-reporters and newbies, welcome back to my channel. Or if you're a newbie, welcome to my channel. It's so nice to come into the chat and see so many of you already commenting. I absolutely love it. Thank you for being here. Let's get back into our usual tradition. Please let me know where you're watching from and what you would rate the season 9B finale special from Team Emoji on a scale of 1 to 10. Let me know. So I saw a couple of the comments come through. So I saw Pennsylvania rating it a 2. OMG. There's UK in here. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Hi. There's so many more hellos instead. I'll take that. Thank you all so much. You're all so kind. Wow. Okay, watching from Colorado. Wow. Denver, maybe? Colorado, rating it a 4. Now you've got me wanting to ski. I've been craving a ski trip for a while now. Hi, Texas. Hi, Mary from Texas. Vegas, UK. Okay, you guys. So the ratings are pretty low. 6 is probably the maximum score I've seen here, and it goes as low as a 2. Hi, Montreal. One of my besties just moved there. Wow. VA is Virginia. 7, Netherlands. Wow, Irene. And a 5. Okay, 55666. 0 from Florida. K. Wow. All right. Okay. So let's get into the episode. So here's the obvious elephant in the room, right? It is the misery that is Maci and Taylor's marriage, as it was portrayed anyway in this season of the show. They really decided to open up about their marriage instead of sending Bentley out there to catch all of the heat for all of his situations and to be kind of psychoanalyzed constantly. They decided to give him a season off. If you guys forgot, we talked about this last week, and then people who are my premium co-reporters, who are my channel members, we talked about this a long time ago. After last season, when I was doing my recaps, somewhere along the line, Maci creeped into the DM, said thank you for, I believe, talking about how Bentley is constantly the one who is caught, having to open his soul, bare his soul for the show rather than she and Taylor. I said that we never know what's going on in that marriage. They talked about how they just get drunk and fight all the time, but very passively, and we never really got the info on that. And now what are we getting this season, you guys? Exactly what we asked for. Tell us about yourselves. Stop putting your child out there, to make the money for you. Make it yourself, earn it yourself. Hi, Matt. You're always here. It's so amazing to have you. Thank you. So, here's the thing, just based on knowing that, I don't know if it's real or fake. Last week's episode, I felt like their fight was quite fake, but this week, I think we're getting a real glimpse into the level of satisfaction that they have with their marriage. And to me, on both of their sides, it looks to be quite low. But listen, relationships and marriages, they have seasons, they have their ups and downs. Sometimes you're on 10, sometimes you're on 0 or negative 10, so maybe this is just one of the lower seasons. It doesn't mean that they're going to call it quits or anything like that. I think if they ride it out, they will have another high, but that is just me speculating here. So now, when we kick it off to the very top of the episode, we start off with a Mackenzie scene. They know how much how much I am tired, how much we're tired of Mackenzie and her boring scenes, just being very, very sad all the time and never anything to counteract that. So they decided to get us to stop fast forwarding her scenes by putting them at the very top of the video. So here we are. It is her father asking if he can have her daughter, Jaxie, over with him in Oklahoma for the entirety of the summer, which is a month or 2, I believe it is. I want to know how you guys feel about that. Is that something that you would do if your father, who is a new widower, asked you, and you had 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, if he could only have the girl with him at his place for the summer, what would you say? I get where he's coming from, because he's trying to help Jaxie and Mackenzie and Josh, right? Because Jaxie probably doesn't get as much quality time and attention as she was getting when she was closer to the grandpa and everything, because the 2 boys are a handful and everything like that. And she's more quiet as the girl, as the baby. So I could totally see why he wants to kind of help out. They had a very close best friend relationship. But to me, a couple of months at a time is a little bit tough. It's a little bit tough to me. So I kind of was okay, let's see what they say on this. To me, it's can I picture spending like a month or two away. I don't know. And it's your only girl. Like that must have been really tough for Mackenzie. Okay, you guys are saying a lot of stuff. You guys are saying this is disturbing. You guys are saying it's weird. Okay, I get your perspective there, Brianna, that like Jaxie would be taking care of him and helping him to find happiness and stuff like that. Because remember, a big reason for this is because he is a new widow and he's getting very, very depressed and like he's not taking care of himself health wise, managing his diabetes properly. And so they want to send Jaxie there kind of like as an emotional support granddaughter. So I get where you're coming from, Brianna. But Kelly, that's basically the reason why. He was always closest to Jaxie out of all of the kids. Okay, you guys are saying this is creepy and you are cringing. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Okay, I just going through all of this. She's like, I would send all three of them. Yes, get yourself that vacation. But they would run him ragged, especially the boys. Okay, okay. And okay, she's supposed to be getting a better education. Well, that's the thing too. They seem to completely ignore that. Oh, wow. Okay, you guys are just not feeling it at all. You know, it is smart to kind of keep an eye and keep an ear out because, you know, of those things. But I really understood where the grandpa was coming from in that perspective. But I totally do get, you know, people who are very apprehensive about it with her being the only girl. You know, unfortunately, you can't trust anybody with your kids really like at all for the most part. Like it's really hard to trust people, right? Even family. Like you do hear stories about this about family, but I personally don't see it with the grandpa. I think he's just depressed and he wants his best buddy with him for a little bit. So now when it comes to Cheyenne, she's telling us that she is exhausted. She can't even plan her wedding right now, but that is not the surprise of the century because she got engaged at like 8 or 9 months pregnant. You know, like no one expects you to really start wedding planning when you were that late into your pregnancy getting engaged. So that's totally normal. And she should not overwhelm herself with that kind of stress. And so we've got Corey coming into the house and he gave her really good advice about just focusing on herself and everything like that. But Cheyenne said that he was annoying. She's like, I don't know why everyone says he's this great guy and everything because he actually is quite annoying. Question for you guys, was Corey being annoying or was he being a supportive baby daddy? You know, to me, this has not really been that great of a season for Cheyenne. Remember, we watched her screaming at Zach at the top of her lungs in the middle of a car, kicking him out in the middle of the street and everything like that, like just before they got engaged. So she really has not been coming out like roses. So I personally did not really understand why she was saying he was annoying. Like he was giving her good advice. And I think that that is something that maybe a lot of new moms don't really get. Like usually people just ask a lot of questions about the baby and this and that, but they never really as much as often stop to ask the mom how she's doing and if she's focusing on herself. It's all about like, you know, the baby, you know, keeping the baby alive and everything like that. Dora from Brazil. Hi, Dora. You know what I really got into from Brazil? Love is Blind Brazil. It really inspired me to try to learn Portuguese one day. I'm crossing my fingers. I don't know if it'll happen, but I want to. Such a beautiful language. Jaleesa says Corey is annoying. Jacqueline says Corey is supportive. Okay. Thanks, Rose. Have a great road trip. Okay, so it's a little bit mixed when it comes to Corey, but I personally thought that he was being very helpful to Cheyenne in the moment. And then he goes, oh, I'm annoying. What about you screaming at your man like that? And then he imitated her screaming and stuff. And then Cheyenne brought up how Zach's parents called them the day after it aired. So this episode was filmed after like the first half of the season. And Zach's parents asked, is everything okay with you guys? We didn't know things got that bad. And I personally am not surprised that they would have called to check in on Zach, especially because what happened there was not normal at all. I'm going to repeat this again. In my opinion, it was abusive, like that screaming situation. And even just watching the replay back, it still makes me just as uncomfortable as it did the first time I saw it. I know some people say it's the pregnancy hormones, but I don't know. To me, I don't see it that way. I don't. I think that that was like a serious issue that they should talk about in premarital counseling if they go down that lane. It seems like Cheyenne might have an anger issue and that pregnancy maybe just exacerbated it. But I think if someone is prone to screaming in the first place, that is something that they're going to do. And I don't know that that's healthy. Cass says Cheyenne was abusive towards her fiance in that car scene. No one would be laughing if it were reversed. And I completely agree with that too. You know, like they were really just laughing it off, but there was no, PSA about like abuse in relationships the way it would have been if the roles were reversed. Okay, let's get into miserable situation here, okay? So Taylor and Maci decide that they need to kind of start coming together and bonding over something that is not their children. And so he books them a bed and breakfast situation, and Maci doesn't seem all that enthusiastic about it. So she goes to the backyard and she FaceTimes her friend Keely to talk about it. And she literally says that if they don't have the kids to talk about, then they are in deep doo doo, which is that understandable, parents? You let me know in the comment section. Again, I personally think that it is understandable, especially after so long. And when your kids' schedules are as full as Maci and Taylor's kids' schedules, although one might argue that they fill those schedules up so much that they're so busy running around after the kids that they don't have to face whatever is going on in their relationship, right? It kind of does go both ways, but I digress. So she says that her big stressor about this upcoming date weekend for them, well, at the B&B, is that they're going to realize that they don't truly enjoy each other's company. I got to ask you guys, is that something that you've ever worried about in your relationship or in your marriage? Personally, I do understand it. Like, I understand where she's coming from, like from a smaller perspective, but it seems normal with what it is that they're going through. And it seems like a very honest take, like we're finally getting some honesty out of them about the state of their relationship. It's not perfect, just like no relationship is perfect. So yeah, it was really, really great to see from my experience until we get down to the actual vacation. That is when SHIT really does hit the fan, and she does, like you guys say, seem absolutely miserable, especially when they actually get there. This is going to be, kind of dark. Well, dark is a bit strong of a word, but it's going to be sad when we see. Mm-mm-mm. And just like Kelly says, they truly do need some alone time. By the way, my co-reporters, my premium co-reporters, I want to do a live about that thing, that TikTok that Kale posted on her TikTok account, making fun of the fact that someone is a second baby mama instead of a first baby mama to 3 men, the way that she is. Keep an eye out for that. We're going to do a live on that. And this is going to be the first time that we pilot a live in front of my general audience. So all of you guys who are not premium core reporters or channel members will be able to watch it, but the chat will be exclusively for channel members / premium core reporters. So stay tuned for that. So now Amber hustles Gary into going with her to her therapist or her psychologist. But here's the thing that I don't understand, and I've never understood. We've never really gotten a proper answer for this. But if you look at his sign on the door, it says very clearly that this man, Dr. Ron Statchler, is a child and adolescent psychiatrist. So why is 30-something-year-old Amber going to see him on a regular basis? Like, is she not like a decade or so, a couple decades out of being a child or an adolescent? She's a couple decades out, I think. So I really don't get it. If any of you guys are a child and adolescent psychiatrist in the comments or something like that, please, please, please let me know, because, these two having a combined age of 60 something going into a child and adolescent psychiatry office to get counseled doesn't really make that much sense to me. But I digress. I really wanted to screen grab that so that everybody could see it as well. Like, let me put it back up. What the hell is actually going on here? It does not make sense. So now moving a little bit along here, the Gary and Amber talk to the psychiatrist, and Gary brings up the fact that Leah is embarrassed by all of those Instagram live things that Amber does, where she starts whining about like her life and her relationship with Leah, or she just gets on there and she starts lip syncing and looking at the camera all awkwardly and weirdly for like a couple of hours or whatever. Amber kind of just sits there, and we're going to get into a little bit later, but spoiler alert for you guys. She claims that she has hired someone to take over her social media so that things like that don't happen again. So do you guys believe her on that or no? Because I have seen her go live again kind of recently. I've seen that. And it seems like she is still running that account and she's not doing a really good job of it. So we'll see. We'll see. So, by the way, the psychiatrist also says that the lives and stuff are a result of manic episodes, and then Amber like agrees and expounds on it, but she never really says that she would stop using social media altogether. It's not like it's a mandatory part of life, right? To be on Instagram, especially Instagram Live. So now in the next scene of the episode, Mackenzie and Josh sit down together and talk about the idea of sending their daughter Jaxie out to Oklahoma to spend the entire summer with her father. And they both decide that sending her over there would be great for her father's mental health, and they say that they're going to be down with it if Jaxie is okay with it as well, which I guess is one of those things where it's like, of course, to a kid, it sounds great to be able to spend more time with your grandfather, but I don't think she really understands how long, that amount of time is or will feel like. I imagine that maybe when we get to the reunion, we'll talk about this. We'll see what happened there. But I imagine that at a certain point, maybe Jaxie started getting a little homesick and she started missing her siblings. She started missing her parents. She started missing the activities that she was doing in Florida as well. Like I don't think that she really can grasp it and make this kind of a huge decision for herself. But I digress. Yeah, someone's saying here, Cold Blue saying, they were ready to ship that kid off. Honestly, they are so overwhelmed with 3 kids. So it really did seem like they're kind of like, listen, let's get this help and, not say no. It's time. It is absolutely time. So next up, back down in LA, Cheyenne decides that, wait a minute, Corey wasn't being annoying. Maybe I should spend some time focusing on myself. So she decides to get into postpartum belly wraps. So it's like a wrapping or a binding experience that really helps you kind of focus on your body after giving birth, which I thought was a really cool activity for her to get into. And I have to say, she looked amazing after, giving birth and everything. Like she looked really, really amazing. I'm not going to post that photo here, of course, but she looked really, really good on the show when she kind of stripped down. I was like, yes, girl, you are looking amazing still. So now, Amber. Again, I kind of spoiled it a little bit for you guys earlier, but yes, here she is talking about giving control of her Instagram account over to her manager. So did you guys believe like that she actually did it? Or like, because what the hell, right? Like if that was true, why was she just the other day on Instagram acting a plum fool again, right? Like, I don't buy it. And speaking of things that I don't really buy, I feel sorry for saying this, but the story she said about how she would avoid seeing Leah to protect her because sometimes she would have a bruise on her face and stuff. I'm sorry, but I have a hard time with this because Amber, from what we've known of her so far, has physically abused, physically assaulted 2 or 3 different men in her life, right? And so I just don't see it. And I know that people who abuse can be abused as well. But here's the thing. She was always filming for this show, even when she was ghosting her daughter. Like that would be one of her storylines. She'd be like, oh, like I can't see Leah because I don't feel well. But meanwhile, she's got this boyfriend, that boyfriend, or the other boyfriend. So would this not have been something that she wouldn't want to be seen on camera either? Or like, would this not have been something that would have been picked up either? I feel really bad for saying this again, but I've got to be honest. I don't believe it, especially with how manipulative Amber is and her history and like the fact that she was continuously filming and like none of this really ever came up or was seen or anything like that. I am having a hard time with it. But moving along, this is where things get really miserable for Maci and Taylor. They get to their B&B for their date, their first date away from home. The kids are staying with Maci's parents, and Taylor is minding his own business, using his God-given teeth to chomp on his toast, which is typically crunchy because it is toast after all. And Maci says that she's going to need some earplugs with the way that he is out there eating the toast. And the poor man, he's just so defeated. I didn't get a screenshot of it, but he's like, I mean, let me take this photo down for effect. He's just like looking at the toast. He's like, well, I mean, it is toast. It's kind of hard to eat it without making a sound, ma'am. Like she is his dom or something, and he's scared of her. Like she really kept picking at him at this B&B trip, and it made me a little bit uncomfortable for him. I do have to say. And so I don't know like what was going on with her. Like all of a sudden her eyes just like start glazing, rolling in the back of her head and everything. While she was talking over this dinner too, she also seemed to be like slurring in some respects. And again, she was acting very weird. And like, I saw that there was beer on the table. So I'm like, was she drunk? Like, what is going on? Even if you're drinking and is it normal to be like bobbing around like this at the dinner table and full blown falling asleep at the dinner table? Like, it's like a couple of glasses of beer, like I don't know. I didn't think that this was a particularly good look for Maci. Again, I'm loving that they are showing the honest truth, or showing more of their relationship or something like that. But yeah, this was not a particularly good look for her, I have to say. And yeah, poor Taylor dropped his thing. He was probably so nervous. He was shaking or whatever. Like, what the heck? And yes, I do believe she probably wishes Ryan and his family are back to take the heat off of their miserable relationship, because this is the first time she's really had to go all in and show it off. Like, it is a mess. It really is. So next up, we get Caitlyn. Caitlyn pushed out baby Raya at this point, and the lucky woman was only in labor for a whopping 3 hours. And she was already so far into her what do you call this? What do you call it? Into her labor that she couldn't get the epidural. And so Tyler was just helping her with pressure point stimulation and everything. And I thought that that was quite sweet. So here's another thing that I didn't really understand about Gary and Amber. Listen, Amber accused Gary of actually harassing her, trying to force her to cuddle with him and all of this stuff. She accused Gary of trying to cheat on Christina with her, flirting with her and all of this stuff. So I don't understand why, from Amber's perspective, or why from Christina's perspective, it was acceptable for Gary and Amber to be driving to and from this therapy appointment together. And even from like the MTV, right? Like, I know these people are not full-blown employees, so they're not as protected by MTV or Viacom or whatever as an employee would, but they're still contractors. And this girl is claiming, sexual harassment against someone. And like, you guys think it's okay to still place them isolated in a car together? And when you consider the fact that Gary and Amber live 40 minutes away from each other, this scene to me was a little bit weird, I do have to say. Christina, come get your man. Like, come on. This was not appropriate, in my humble opinion. And again, like I said last week, this child psychiatrist thing that Amber really wanted Gary to come to was more about her feeling like she can have all these excuses in the world for not showing up for her child. She never really asked, what could we do now for Leah based on the information that we have? The whole time it was about Amber, 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 Amber. It never stopped. And I really can't, like, when you listen, she had Leah when she was a teenager, but here she goes again, late 20s, having another child. Like, at a certain point, you have to take responsibility. You decided to have these kids. Wake up and deal with it. You can't just keep trying to have, excuses, to get out of parenting these children that you consciously decided to create. I can't. So, Christina, can't get your man, right? You guys, it's wild. I really do not understand. Like, See, a lot of you guys are saying this too. Like, you can't. And here, Shivy's like, why can't she ever drive herself? I don't know. Like, it's weird. I don't care for it. So now, back down in Florida, Mackenzie tells Jaxie that, hey, listen, how do you feel about the idea of spending your summer down in Oklahoma with your grandpa? And Jaxie seemed so excited about it. Listen, you cannot deny that this girl loves her grandfather. Mackenzie was like, damn, I'm a little disturbed by how excited you are about this. You're not going to miss me, like, all of that. So, listen, she loves her grandpa. So she's going to go for that little month or two away with grandpa. I know some of you guys are not feeling it, and I totally get where you're coming from too. See, I have a question. Would it be different for you guys if it was the grandma instead? If it was Mackenzie's mom, if Mackenzie's mom was still here and she wanted to have Jaxie for the summer? Just for my own curiosity. Thank you so much for the super chat, Eden Ivy Moon. She says, I'm here to offend everyone by forcing you to imagine Gary in nothing but a smile. I'll show myself out. I love you, Grace. Oh my God. You know what? I'll do you one better, even Eden Ivy Moon. Picture him in nothing but a smile and that saran wrap that he uses as a condom. There you guys go. Thank you so much, Eden, for your super chat. She is so silly. Now, when we go back to the B and B, Maci really starts telling on the state of her dissatisfaction with Taylor at this moment, at this season of her marriage. Okay. So she starts talking about, wow, like this really has been a year, and it truly has. She talks about all of the divorces, which is true. Like, this is when the pandemic stuff was really, going down. Like, when we're starting to get the vaccine and stuff, and like, people were like starting to get all of these divorces because they've been living in close quarters with someone for too damn long. They didn't know what it would be like, blah blah blah. So I get where she was coming from here, but listen, it sounded like she was foreshadowing a little something something, and I'll connect the dots for you. So next up, Taylor wants to hold Maci's hand, and oh my god, who's calling me? Someone's calling me. It's coming through on my MacBook. Taylor wants to hold Maci's hand, and Maci takes a really long time to extend her hand to meet his. She goes, "Oh, but then my hair is going to get in my face." I go, "Okay, okay, all right." And then we go again. She asks Taylor after she finally puts her hand in his, like whenever you're saying things like F this, I'm out of here, blah, blah, blah. At that point, I'm kind of like, okay, like it sounds like Taylor maybe has sometimes threatened to leave her and stuff. So maybe that is why she's feeling a little hurt and distant. But then he poses the same question, like when you say this, blah, 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 the same things. What makes you stay? So it seems like a mutual thing in their relationship, right? Okay. So he answers the questions and he goes, "Because I love you." And then asks the same question back to Maci. She doesn't say it's because I love you. She says it's because I like you. Like. I want to know how you guys feel about this. So, my opinion about this is a little bit nuanced, I have to say. Here's what I feel. I get where Maci is coming from because she explains it in a way, right? She goes, I'd rather put up with your SHIT than to not have your SHIT to put up with. And she's like, like, you say you stick around because you love me, but there's so many people that I love, but I don't want to be around them, right? Like, I love them from a distance. Isn't that kind of true? And it sounds like there are people that you love or you feel like you're obligated to love them or whatever, but you don't like them. So you don't want to spend your time, like, you're not fighting to spend your time with them and be around with them and stuff. She's saying that she genuinely likes him and enjoys him. You know what I mean? So to me, from that perspective, I felt like that was a good answer too. Right? Like, let me know. Let me get into these comments with you guys. I really want to know how you feel about this. And this is very true as well, SD. It's definitely worth mentioning that Maci still is recovering from trauma. So that is a lot that she is currently going through right now. That is really messing with her mood, really messing with her perception, really messing with like intimacy. I'm imagining like emotionally and whatever as well. Like, I really do get that from her. I think Ramster, hey, says, I think either Maci fell out of love or the PTSD is really doing a number on her. That's the thing, but like luckily, if you fall out, you can get back in so long as you put the work in. Brittany, I actually can't stand Maci anymore. She's so rude to Taylor. She's like a drill sergeant with her kids and she's not fun or funny. I have been seeing this sentiment come up a lot. Like, I totally get that perspective as well. RS22 says Maci seemed bored with her marriage long before the season. Here's the thing. I think Maci's just boring in general. Like, Maci's just boring. So anything Maci does to me just seems boring. Like, I've never seen her excited for anything or anybody. Like, it's very obvious. It's very clear she loves those kids, but she's just so bland and monotone that I don't see passion. Like, I you know what I mean? But here's where things get a little bit weird. Remember, I've been giving Miss Thang a couple of passes, but when Taylor goes, we made it, what does she do? She puts in a little bit of a dig. She says, barely. Barely. Okay. All right. Barely. Okay. I could live with that, but I'm going to side eye that, right? And then we get into it a little bit later. Taylor goes, here's the thing. It's so crazy, but I can't even imagine what my life would be like if I didn't meet you and if I didn't have 3 kids. What does Maci say in response to that? She says, and she says it very quickly, might I add, very, very quickly, like she's been waiting her whole life for this. She's been waiting her whole marriage to say this, but she says, I know I'll be okay without you. Whew. Wow, girl, that's not very nice. That's not very nice. Is that one of those things that matter enough for you to say it to your husband who is pouring out his heart to you? I don't know, girl. I don't know. And here's another thing. Did you notice that she didn't say, I would be okay without you, like as if to say, if this didn't work out or whatever? She says, I will be okay without you. Like this girl has a plan and she is ready to pack up those bags, pack up those kids, and bounced. Did you get that vibe too? I will be okay without you. Miss Thang, I think this was a Freudian slip, and this is what she really means. I really truly think that at this point, something's up. This is not, something's up. It's not very normal. And then after that, she says, listen, I don't really like people. So the fact that I even liked you was impressive. I'm calling BS on this because do you guys remember Kyle, the one that Ryan asked, is this man slow? The one that people were like, oh, is this Bentley's real father? When she like started dating him, a couple months into dating him, this girl was moving in with him. I think she tried to like buy a house with him where they did successfully buy a house together. And not only that, okay, whatever. It happens, right? But she was begging him to have babies together, like very early on, and to get married. And then she did the same thing with Taylor. He caved on the babies, right? Or he really wanted to have babies quickly too, or whatever. So they had a couple of babies. They had 2 babies together, and she was begging, make me your wife. Am I your teammate? Blah, blah, blah. Like, make an honest woman out of me. So no, it's not true. I am really calling BS on this whole like, oh, I'm too cool for school. I don't normally like people. So the fact that I like you is impressive. No, sis, you were begging this man for everything under the sun a couple of months ago. Don't lie. Don't cap. 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 That's the word of the day when it comes to Maci and her scenes. So things keep, escalating in a negative way as we go on here. So Taylor wants to cheers. At this point, he's like, listen, you have played me out. Let's just end this scene. Let's wrap this up. Cheers to another 5 years, babe. What happened? Miss Thang scoffs. And then he tells her F you like as a joke or whatever. But she doesn't say, I'm just kidding. I love you. And I think he said he loves her. And she didn't say she loved him back. But that's kind of like how we left that scene there. And I was like, I don't know. I keep on going right on back to this where she goes, I know I will be okay without you. It's very intentional. It is very, very intentional. So I don't know. Like I said earlier, this could just be a down season in their marriage. It doesn't really mean that like it's the end of the world, the end of the relationship or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely something is going on over there, Now, in the final scene of the episode, you guys, Caitlyn and Tyler FaceTime Nova from the hospital. And can we get into how cute and how smart our Nova is? She is just such a little baby angel. She's adorable. So, they're telling her, oh, the baby weighed 6 pounds. She's like, what? That's actually really normal for a newborn. Oh, the baby weighs 6 pounds and I'm 6. And then Veda comes around. She's like, Veda, come see. It's your baby sister. You're a baby sister. She was so adorable. I've always loved me some Nova, but she has gotten so damn smart. She's always been a cutie, but now she is so damn smart. It is adorable. Adorable. Oh my God. She really, really, really did it. She really did it for me this season. Like, it was the perfect wrap up to the season. Now, you guys, I was getting ready to go over there in my community tab a couple of days ago and tell you guys I am not recapping the reunion because this season has been so dry that there's nothing worth doing a reunion for. But then I saw the previews. I saw that Thera was going to make a little bit of a cameo via video, whatever, Skype or whatever. Then I saw that Amber was going to come for Gary. Like, oh my God, like it's looking a little juicy. Okay. It's looking a little tender. So I might watch it and do a recap on it, but please don't let it be 3 parts. They don't have enough content for that, and then if it's 3 part, they're going to stretch it so that all that good stuff is at the very end. Ugh. God. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for being here. It was so nice to recap this episode with you. Don't forget, I've got a recap of Young and Pregnant, not the finale, but the semifinal episode where Luke's sister tries to fight Kayla. That's coming up in 30 minutes. Okay. So stay tuned. It's coming up in 30 minutes. Make sure to set your reminder. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up on your way out. And of course, if you, like me, do not live in Canada and you want to watch this online and you want to support the channel, make sure to get yourself a VPN. I've got an affiliate link to the one that I use in the description box down below. That is all for this recap. Again, I'll be back on live in like 23 minutes, it's looking like, with a recap of Young and Pregnant. So stay tuned for that. I'm about to go prep that for you guys, okay? Bye, guys. Thank you.